Hey legends, welcome along to Here's Rodder's Reviews. I'm your host, Rodney Stewart, and Transformers, once again. This is another two-parter that I, for years, was dying to get my hands on. Never got to see it as a kid, until the days of the box set is when I got to check all this stuff out. Scheduling in Northern Ireland back in the day for this show just seemed to be crap over here, and yes, there's quite a few episodes that got underneath the radar, but the key to Vector Sigma is an absolutely fantastic two-parter. We're just going to do part one in this video. It's essentially action basically the whole way through this episode. At the beginning, the Autobots are escorting this new super fuel that the humans have developed and they want the Autobots to test. So there's a convoy of trucks and cars, Optimus Prime, the Autobots are there, and they're attacked by the Decepticons, and the Autobots have to protect this super fuel. Now the Decepticons are having a real hard time trying to... The concept is, for this two-parter, is the Autobots rule the roads and the Decepticons rule the skies, essentially. Like most of the Decepticons, well, all the Decepticons can fly, very few of the Autobots can fly, so it's more or less cars and trucks and vans and stuff are all the Autobots. Planes, you know, jets, all that sort of thing as the Decepticons. So that's the thing that has to change in Megatron's eyes in this episode. Their attempts to stop this convoy are thwarted very quickly because of the Autobots being able to be as good as they are on the roads. Like Ramjet, Dirge, Frost, all the Cone Heads get taken out at one point in this episode, and Megatron eventually stops the convoy and has a standoff with Optimus Prime, and he's threatening to blow the super fuel, and Optimus Prime's like, he calls his bluff. You know, I don't think you've got the nerve to do it, but you're going to have to blow us all up to get your way here. A smokescreen manages to use his smoke ability to distract Megatron long enough or blind him with smoke so the Autobots can fight him off, and Megatron decides, okay, what we need to do here is we have to rule the roads as good as the Autobots can. So he sends Rumble out to get hold of some cars, and he gets race cars, sports cars, a truck similar to Optimus Prime, tractor trailer, and they create Decepticons out of these machines called the Stunticons. Now, unlike the just thinking back on, and continuity was never a huge thing in the Transformers. Like, you know, like they did change their backstories quite a few times throughout the run of the show, but memory serves, in season 1 the Constructicons were built on Earth. They've got their own personalities, but in this episode, in this storyline, the Stunticons are created in a similar way, but they need a supercomputer in Cybertron called Vector Sigma to actually give them personalities of their own. So Megatron can take them to a certain point, can create them, they can transform their cars, they can change into their robotic forms, but they're remote controlled at this point, so they head off to Cybertron to find Vector Sigma, give these new Decepticons personality traits of their own. Of course, the Autobots find out what happened, and they follow the Decepticons to Cybertron on board Omega Supreme, and Alpha Trion appears in this episode again. He's got the key to Vector Sigma, and Megatron manages to get hold of that, and Alpha Trion is badly damaged when the Autobots eventually find him. They repair him, and the Autobots follow the Decepticons into the bowels of Cybertron looking for Vector Sigma, but there is these sentinels outside the supercomputer. They got an army of drones that are guarding the computer, almost unstoppable. And the Decepticons are fighting them, not making much headway until Megatron realizes he's holding the key to Vector Sigma in his hand, and he realizes these things are protecting Vector Sigma, so they're going to protect this key as well. So he's able to use the key to take control of these things and send them after the Autobots. So while the Autobots are distracted fighting this army of droids, Megatron does indeed activate Vector Sigma and gets the Stunticons personalities of their own, and they return to Earth and start a whole mess load of trouble. But back in Cybertron, the Autobots manage to reanimate some old droids themselves to fend off the defender droids of Vector Sigma, and actually wind up using these robotic remote controlled droids to actually like lemmings, just to walk off a cliff and sacrifice themselves and take this army of droids with them. And a bit of a dark turn for the Autobots felt for this episode, but it is what it is. They do eventually get to Vector Sigma and realise they're too late. The Decepticons have left, they've returned to Earth, and Optimus Prime then does the exact same thing that Megatron did in this episode, and he says to Alpha Trion, the old rocket ships that we passed earlier, could they be modified to resemble Earth-style jets? And Alpha Trion is reluctant, but he says it could happen, but there's something missing here, and we'll take that up in the next episode. And as I'm talking about it now, I realise where this is going to go and how it's going to end in this two-parter. It's been a lot of years since I've seen it, but yes, it's coming back to me. Fantastic two-parter. Back on Earth, the army base that's housing this super fuel that the Autobots were protecting at the beginning of the episode is attacked by the Stunticons. So you've got 4 cars and 1 giant truck attack this army base and start destroying absolutely everything in there. And the army, the colonel, you name it, they remark that these cars, there's no one driving them. That can only mean one thing: it's the Autobots. So the Stunticons got their own personalities here. They've started to attack the humans, and the humans automatically believe now that the Autobots have turned on them, and that's where the episode closes out. To be continued. Absolutely fantastic. As I say, a few pieces in this episode where, you know, continuity wasn't huge. I can see through that, but that moment where the Autobots resurrected like ancient ancestors of themselves to sacrifice them again by walking them off a cliff with this group of sentinels behind them. And I know these are basically all just droids, you know, there's no personality components within them at this point, they're not individuals, but it just seemed a really dark turn for the episode. But that was it, that was the 80s, you know. Again, it's just it was a genuinely unique time in cartoon history, and there was a lot of things happened back in the 80s that scarred kids for a lifetime. And Transformers moving forward from this point on, we're getting close to the end of season 2. What comes next with the movie and season 3, it destroyed a lot of people. I'm pretty sure there's psychopaths of my age in the face of the planet that are just complete and utter headbands at this point because of the scarring that they got, particularly in season 3 of the Transformers. So you're going to have to hang about this channel till we get to that episode, because all I'm going to say, leading on from here, where that's concerned, what they did in Transformers the movie was bad enough, but they took that I went one step further and an episode in season 3, so hang about the channel. We'll get to that probably in the next month or so. So hope you enjoyed this episode, guys. Come back tomorrow for the part 2 of the key to Vector Sigma.